Multilingual Module 2 Object Name Table. Another free lesson to help you become a better coder. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Your continued support helps make these videos possible. And as always, I thank you all for watching this video. In this video, we are going to be doing exactly the same thing as the previous video, except we're going to be creating a table for object name, and this table will hold the form and the report information. So let's go to it and let's start working. Let's get back to our program, the multilingual project. So we want to go into our favorite folder here, Access Project, and let's make a folder for each video that we create. So I'm gonna, well, it should be in let's see, oops, want to rename this guy to module 1. That way we can keep them all separate. Alright, so let's make a copy of that and call this guy 2. Alright, so let's go in there. So last time what we did was we add these two guys in here, okay, and we had this function right here, this form right here. What we want to do is to create another, to add another table to hold the form or the report information. All right, namely this form, for example, or if we have another form, create object, whatever, we need to add information about it. Okay, so let's do that now, and I'll see. I'll show you what to do with this. See this title right here, the form title. So I'm gonna close that out for now. Let's go to create table. Let's think about this. I'm thinking about calling it an object name ID and using a number. All right, and then now this form will have a related language. All right, so that way if you select whatever language it is, you want the related form to fall into that category. This would be a parent-child relationship. So then we're just going to create a parent ID. That would be the parent ID. All right, and we want to hold the form or the report name. So that would be the object name. Okay, what else do we need? We need the property. All right, now the property refers to this. Let me show you. The property, see, if we come into this form, these are the property here. All right, so we're gonna call this. We're gonna name a column called property. All right, and that property would identify each one of these properties right here. Okay, each one of these property right here. So specifically this caption right here. All right, so I'm going to show you later. What else do we need to call? Oh yeah, the display text. All right, so this will say, hey, if you find this property, I want you to show the display text here. All right, so this property could be tooltips. You see tooltips up here? There somewhere. tooltips, toolbar, shortcut. There's a tooltips here somewhere. Where are you, tooltips? This may not have a tooltips, but we know the control has a tooltip. For example, if I select that, watch, there's a tooltip here somewhere. Well, anyways, you can identify. Yeah, there you go, right? The control tip text right there. So if you specify whatever here, say this is company or language, and you put a cursor right over this guy, that text is going to show up. All right, so that's called control tip. Okay. So but I'm going to show you how to do that too. Okay. So right now we just want to identify these guys. So let's make that a form primary key, and let's name this guy object name. That's that for the table. All right, there's not much to it on the form. Okay, similarly the report is the same way. It just, you know, a couple of controls for the form. All right, now as far as the controls itself, we're going to have a different one. I'm going to show you that one. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this portion. Let's do that portion. Before I open up the create object, I want to get back in here. I want to say create insert object name. This will be the object name. I also want the module. That was a class. This is also object name db access. All right. So now let's create all stuff. Object name, copy. Oops, wrong one. This guy. All right. And then we want to go into object name, this guy. Let's grab the right hand side, copy, and you can go ahead and close that out. So this will be that guy. All right. Now this is similar situation with the new ID here. Okay, so we're gonna copy this guy, copy, and then jump back to this name right here, and then add it to the top, similar to this stuff. And we're gonna call this guy new object name ID. All right, and here object name ID, call it object name ID, object name. That looks good right there. Let me copy this guy and put it right there, default it to the 1, and make this guy right here similar situation. So it's a lot of, you know, this is what you do when you want to save your typing. You just copy and paste. All right, that looks good. Oh, oops, copy that guy, put that guy in there. There, we're done with that. All right, so now let's pop back to here, and we're gonna say object name db access new. All right, that's good. Nice and easy. All right, now let's add another module. We're gonna add another module. Let's call this one default language. Oops. Do we have default language? Oh, we have a default language here. Okay. it wants us to remove that. Alright, let's remove that. We add, oh, got you. Okay, so we add that one in the last video. Alright, so thinking out loud here. We want to create a list of default forms or report. Alright, so right now we have this form right here. We want to create information about this form, so this is how we're going to do it, and they're going to be more than just one. Say if we add more forms to this, alright, to this project, we're going to have more and more and more. So let's create a list. That way in the future we don't have to create a list. So this one will say, I'm going to make this one private. Sub set set object name list. Alright, so let's make a list of this object. I'm going to come in here, object name list. Oops, make it an array as object name. Alright, now we can create this guy. Okay, now we can create this guy. So the first item will be the language. I'm gonna come up here and copy the entire thing here. Copy. Here we want to say, oops, here we want to say redeem, preserve. The first record. Alright, that's how you do it. Now if you don't do the preserve, it's going to erase, it's going to overwrite each items. Alright, so we want to preserve, and now we can say set that guy, which is 1 2 new object name. Alright, and now this one, I'm going to go ahead and copy this guy right here. We're going to set this guy object ID to 1. Now the reason why I did this, if I have another form, alright, and I call it new, it's going to grab that first one, you see, and that is going to be 11111, because in here we're just creating a list, we're not incrementing anything. So therefore, to increment this, we have to specifically specify this one, alright, explicitly. You'll see what I'm saying as I go. Now this language is the language that we define up here, you see, alright, and this language only is visible to this form, this module default language form. So let's grab that ID like so. Alright, now the name, which is the name of our form, is called language. See there? And this is that name right here. See? Now we want to, if we want the property to be caption. Alright, so we want to identify the caption and set the caption. Okay, we're going to set the caption, and here is the display text. We want to say language management. Alright, so that's our first list. That's our first list. Alright, so when we call this, I'm trying to thinking out loud. When we call this, we create this, and this item will be and we want to call this guy. We want to call this guy. Call. Now the reason why we want to call this after we save this guy is because we gotta make sure that we have something in there. Remember, this being the parent, alright, the language being the parent, it must exist before the children. Alright, children cannot be born without parents. So we gotta make sure that we have something in there before we start adding this guy. So now we say, hey, go grab me this list, this default list. Now we can say, let's add a couple more bits to work with it as integer. And that looks good right there. One thing that I want to do here is anytime I call this guy, I want this guy to be done. I want this guy to be done. So I want to create an object name. I want to erase the object name, and that's how you erase the records or reset it to 0. Alright, so that's how you reset it. You say erase, and that only works with the list. Okay, so you got a list, that's what you do. Now that we call this guy, what we want to do here is for I equal to 0 to upper bound object name list next. Let's see how that works now. So what we want to do is we want to iterate through these guys. See this record right here, 0, that is that guy right there. Okay, so now we want to say, hey, for each record I want you to do this. We want to add this guy. We want to say well, we want to identify, we want to make sure that this guy does not exist twice. To do that, let's come back in here, jump back in here. I know we do a lot of jumping here. We want to create another one. We want to find the name, alright, the name of that control. So let's say object name exists by name. That's good right there. And this would be yeah, let's make this guy a language. Alright, I language, that being the parent, is number, and here is another one. This would be object name as string, and here we want to say object name. I want to come in here, copy that guy, because you know I'm going to make error if I don't copy it. That's that. Alright, and now we want to add language in there. Remember, there's going to be more than one language. Alright, so we want to make sure you identify that language that you're looking for. So this is I language ID, and that's it. Alright, so let's update this this variable. We are done with that. Alright, so why do we need this? Well, we want to find out if this guy exists or not exists. That's basically it. So now let's jump back to this default language. So here we can say if not. You see there, if not, object name db access. See here, by name. Now, well, you know what? I'm gonna complete this guy, and now I'm just going to come up here and grab this guy right here. See, copy. The first one. What is the first one? the language. So now we know we got language up there. We need the language, and well, you could do that, or you could do this. Let me show you. You could do that. The one we put inside there, I dot language. See that? That's the same thing. And here we want to do the same thing. I dot object name. And in here, all we want to do is just send in the object. That's it. Alright. So if that guy does not exist, we want to add it. Alright. We want to add it. So now we're gonna reuse the added variable object name db access save, passing that same object. That's it. That's pretty straightforward. Alright, so we're gonna, let's see, we call this guy, we add this guy, and we're gonna do this guy. Alright, when we do this guy. Okay, so let's do that. But before we click this execute button, I want to do this. I want to delete this guy, the second one. Alright, there. That way, the reason being is because, let me show you why. That way when we come in here, when we create new, it's going to do this. Watch. It's going to come in here and grab new ID. Excuse me. And that new ID says, say 1 plus 1 plus 2, because there were 2 items in there, right? So we don't want that. Alright, even with this one, we don't want this one either. Okay, so we don't want this one either. It's going to give us ID 2. Alright, so let me show you. See right here, we got to delete all this right here. Okay, that being 1, let me show you. And if we call this guy, it's going to give us 2. Alright, watch. When we call this form, it's going to give us 2. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to stop right there, and I am going to copy that, put that in there. Yeah, I'm just going to do this for now. And I'm gonna stop right there, not even there. I don't even need to go there. So as soon as we come in here, we're gonna stop right here and inspect this ID. All right, it should give us number 2, not 1. Okay, it should give us 2, not 1. So let's try that. Language, execute. It's not set. That's a problem there. It's not set. Did he add anything in here? See there? That's what we don't want. That's what we don't want. All right. So let's do this. I want to show you. That's not what we want. So we're gonna. I am going to but we have this form right here, you see, that is tied to this guy right here. All right, but what we don't want here is we want to delete these guys, the language. All right, so now in order to delete this guy and this guy at the same time, we got to create relationship. So let's go to this guy and let's make a relationship here. All right, I'm gonna tie these 2 guys together, and we'll say, hey, this guy is the child of that guy, and every time I delete anything in a language, I want you to delete everything in here too. See, it says cascade delete. All right. Okay, so that's it. Says, hey, close the other form before I can do anything. So let's close this form. Let's try it again. And oh, so that means, got you. What happened here? Cancel that. I grabbed the wrong one. That's better. All right, so language. That's good. Now let's save. Now if I come in here, all right, this guy will be deleted as well. If I say, hey, select everything, I want to get rid of you. That looks good right there. Now if we execute this guy, the language and this guy will be created. All right, so let's try it. So we got language. What happened to 0, 1 here? That should have been 1. So we gotta find out why. Let's take a look at language. All right, so we gotta have 1 in here. That should have been 2 right there. Max copy. Did I miss that or something? This is new. Yeah, sometimes if you miss spell, you get issues. You have issue. It did not give us anything. So that kind of bothered me. All right, let's try that again. We're gonna try again. We should get 1. All right, we should get 1. I'm going to stop that. We should get 1. Close that. Delete that. So it's not right. Should not have anything in there either. Good. Try again. Do we have 1? It's still 0. Well, let's walk through. Let's walk through why 0. Should have been 1. All right, let's go through this guy. Stop that. So these right here would be 1. This right there would be 1. Oh, duh, right here. See that? That's the reason why we add that one right there. We didn't want that. My bad. We didn't want that. That's the reason why, because that was always 0 right there. You see there? That was always 0. All right. So we don't want to set that. That's the reason why. Duh. Okay. All right. Let's try it again. It should be right now. Perfect. Good. Do we have anything related to it? Yep. Good. Good. So we got the language and we got the form that we added. All right. Well, now let me show you how to display this guy on this. See this guy right here? Show you how to display that now. Now that we got everything. All right. So what we want here in the language here, what we want here is we want to say display default language. and then we want to pass in the form as form. All right, so that's how that's going to work right there. We also need, you see how we're using this guy in this form. All right, well, that is private only to this file default language module. But what we really want, yeah, I'm going to copy this guy, copy. What we really want, all right, we're going to add a new one here called default, and it's not new. We're going to create as we go. So now we want to say, hey, let's go find out if we have any default items in here. All right, so you see here this function. Am I going too fast? You're going to slow down with the video. We want to make a copy and create a new one and call this default. Oops, there, default language exists. And we don't need anything in here. All right, because we're going to be using this throughout our application. All right, so it doesn't matter what form you're in, what report you're in, you can use this guy. Okay, so once the application runs, we're going to call that guy and get these right here. You see there? Now we say, instead of ID, one here is default equals to 1, and we don't need this guy. That's that. That's it. That's all we want. We just want to find out if there is a default one. Copy that. We're going to replace the variable here and here. Save. All right, so let's hop back to the top. Hop back to the top. Bam. Right here. Now we say if I'll go ahead and explicitly calling this guy like so, language DB access, default language exists. Then, so if we have a default language, we know there's something in there in the control, the object name. Let's see. We can do this. We can do this. Dim OS as record set. Excuse me. We're going to say set OS equals current DB open record set. And in here, I'm just going to jump in here and grab one of these guys. I think I like this guy. I'm going to grab this guy, copy, and put it in there. All right. So this object name says, hey, see, we're going to grab this default language here. I want the object name for this language ID, and that the object name is object form name. You see there? So let me do that. So that's how that's going to work. So we say, hey, go to this object table and look for this language and this name. All right, that's what it says. And now we say if rs record count greater than 0, then if you find it, I want you to do this. All right, if you find it, I want you to do this. We want the O form dot caption. You see that? Equals. This would be display text. All right, and that's all it is. Now we know this guy is not going to be repeated. It's going to return one item at a time. All right, based on the form. All right, so it's going to return one item at a time because if you look at this default language here, it says if not exists. You see that? If not exists, add one. So if it exists, don't add another one. So that's why it will always be one in there for each item. That looks good right there. Well, will it work? All right, so let's go to this guy right here. So we set this guy. Now we want to do the same thing. I'm going to copy this whole shebang here. Copy and say display default, and let's see what it wants. It wants a form, so that means we're going to send in me. That's it. That's pretty nice and simple, I think. But will it work? All right, let's take a look. So see how this guy is form language. All right, let's see if we run it again and see what's going to say. Okay, all right. So, oh, got you. My bad. We don't have that. Remember, this object we copied it from this guy. All right. So we don't have that, but we're gonna use this guy right here. This is the one that we set up here, way up here. Let me show you. Right there. You see there? So that's a global. Let's go back. Just gonna replace that guy. It's nice and simple if you know what you're doing, you know, and it barks at you, say, oh, I know what you're talking about. You see there? Look at this. Language management. You see there? That's nice. That is nice. That's exactly what we want. All right, I'm going to comment this out. Let you see it again. I'm going to comment this out. Comment. I'm going to comment. Close that. Now watch. It's going to show this form language. You see there? Form language. All right. Now if I uncomment this like so, it's going to go in there and update the form name for us. All right. It's going to go in there and update the form name for us. That's it. So that's what we came to do, is to show you that, hey, we need to store information about this form. All right, see this form? For this language. All right, for this language. And we're just going to iterate through. If you see this right here, go to the top right here and say, hey, display default language. So we're just going to iterate through this guy, all right, or I'll grab the form name and then set the display text. That's it. And the display text is this guy. You see there? That's the display text. Nice and simple. Nice and simple. All right. So that's that. We don't even need to add this property, but you could. You could. All right, it doesn't hurt. Okay. As a matter of fact, we don't need that because we are using the caption for the form. Anyways, we're going to keep it like that. All right. So the next thing that we want to do is to add another table. Oopsie. My bad. To add another table, called object name control, which will hold these controls right here. You see there? That would be the label. We did this one in the previous video. That would be the label name. We're going to hold information for these controls, all these controls. And then we're just going to loop through each of these controls and display whatever it needs. All right, that will be the next video. And if you want to go ahead and try it, all right, you are welcome to. But the next video, we're gonna create another table holding controls for this form. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, like, share, and hit that bell. And also comment below, and if you need help, inbox me. Thanks again.